Well, President Joe Biden delivered his second State of the Union address. The president pitching his agenda, touting some of his legislative accomplishments and promoting bipartisanship. So we're getting reaction from Oklahoma lawmakers. Joining us now is Congressman Tom Cole. Congressman, welcome in.
Hey, great to be with you.
Okay, first, I want to dive right in here. Let's start with the debt ceiling. So President Biden called on Congress to raise this, saying failure to do so would wreck the global economy. I want to ask your reaction to that statement there and where Republicans stand on this right now.
Well, it's a great question. Frankly, the president's partly right, but pretty incomplete. He's correct that we do need to raise the debt ceiling and not jeopardize the full faith and credit of the United States. What he left out is we also need to change the pattern of spending. This administration's running up record deficits. Our debt's over $31 trillion. That's larger than our domestic economy right now for the first time since World War II. And so this is sort of like hitting the limit on your credit card. Yeah, you need to pay the bill you owe, but you also need to reconsider how you're spending money if you're running short at the end of the month. And that's exactly what's happening to us. So what our leader, Kevin McCarthy, has said, look, we'll sit down and talk to you about lifting the debt ceiling. You also need to negotiate with us about changing the pattern of spending. And this administration, not just through the regular appropriations process, that is what people normally think of as government, defense, education, transportation, has had some extraordinary spending. They did $1.9 trillion without a single Republican vote in the American Rescue Plan 2 years ago. Last year, they did $750 billion in this misnamed Inflation Reduction Act. That kind of spending is what's pushing up prices, we think, all across the country. So we need to put some brakes on that and get some discipline back in the spending part of government. And that's basically our negotiating position with the president. We'll help you achieve this. We think it's important, but we have to change the spending.
And one claim that he did make along those same lines I just want to ask you about was that Republicans want to cut Social Security for the debt ceiling to be raised.
Absolutely untrue.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, our speakers said, look, Medicare and Social Security are off the table. Now, longer term, we do both those programs are going broke. And so I've actually have legislation recommending a commission. This is what we did the last time we were in this situation, 1983. Ronald Reagan, Democratic Speaker, Tip O'Neill, and a Republican Majority Leader in the Senate, Howard Baker, sat down, came up with a commission. It recommended reforms, including some increased revenue into the system and what have you. And it managed to extend the life of Social Security almost 50 years. So we need to do something like that again on a bipartisan basis, but nobody's for cutting benefits for Social Security or Medicare. And the president is being disingenuous when he does that. It tells me that a lot of the speech last night was a lot more about running for re-election than it was about leveling with the American people.
So you said a word there, bipartisanship. There's been a lot of talk about that. The president said that needs to happen in order to get anything done. I want to ask you, what's the current climate like there in Congress? Is there still any room for everyone to work together here and come to the table?
Yes, there is room. There's a number of areas we can agree on. Look, there's broad agreement about supporting Ukraine. There's broad agreement. The president mentioned the cancer moonshot. Forgot to mention Republicans have put more money in cancer research than he ever has, but we're happy to work with him on that. There's a variety of initiatives, and we're going to have to come together around the budget sooner or later. Now, that'll be more contentious, and I expect a bumpy road, but at the end of the day, we'll get to an agreement. And right now, the president is correct about one thing. For the first 2 years, there wasn't any brakes on the car. He had the Senate, he had the House. Obviously, he was president, so he could do pretty much anything he wanted, anything he could get his own members to agree on. Now he's going to have to work with Republicans. He hasn't had to do that before, so we'll see if he's up to the task. But he's going to have to finally compromise a lot more than he was. Republican House is simply not going to give him the same kind of unquestioning support that a Democratic House did.
Let's move to national security now. Another claim the president made was that the military has been modernized under his leadership, citing the shooting down of the recent Chinese spy balloon. Your reaction to that?
Well, first, it's a joke to talk about his leadership on national security. This is the president that presided over the debacle in Afghanistan. The increases in defense spending have all come at Republican insistence. He submitted pretty low budgets. We've pushed spending on defense up both last year and this year. So that's actually a Republican achievement, not his. And in terms of the spy balloon, I mean, what a joke to let it drift all across America. We detected it when it came into the Aleutian Islands, and that's American airspace. Should have been shot down then. Heaven knows what was communicated back. It flew over sensitive military installations all through the upper Midwest and mid part of the country. And so I don't think we look very strong shooting it on the way out of the country. I'd have been more impressed if we shot it on the way into the country.
Just 30 seconds left here, Congressman. Just any final thoughts here on the president's State of the Union address?
Well, again, I think what we saw really was a kickoff for the Biden re-election campaign, and I think he's trying to persuade the American people that things are really, frankly, a little bit better than they are. Most Americans think we're on the wrong track. Most Americans are worried about inflation. They're worried about a southern border where we're in crisis. They're worried about increasing competition from China. They're not sure they're getting the answers from this administration, so we'll see what's going ahead. But look, give the president his due. He put the best face that he could on the current situation, but remember, again, most Americans don't think we're moving in the right direction. That usually suggests they want to change at the top.
Congressman Tom Cole, thanks so much for carving out some time for us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Very much my privilege to be with you.
Okay, we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much. All right, we're back after this.